Hey, Spartan fans, welcome into this latest edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. I'm your beat reporter for Michigan State Spartans on SI, Aidan Champion, and game week is finally here. Michigan State plays football this week, Friday night, August 29th. Spartans host Western Michigan for their home opener and will be the start of what many are hoping to be an improved season for the Spartans. Obviously, it's been a down few years for this program. Hasn't made a bowl game since 2021. Looking to turn that around in year two under Jonathan Smith. Showed some promise last year. Showed some glimpses of how good this team can be. Returns a lot of those players that really gave you reason to believe. Now you just gotta put it all together and see if they can execute and if they can fix the things that really hindered them last year. But I've been hearing a lot of people compare this team to last year's Indiana team. People asking, even going as far as to claim that this Michigan State team will be last year's Indiana. And I get the comparisons, I do. Indiana had only won 3 games the year prior. Signetti comes on. They take a major, massive leap, 11-2 season, make the college football playoff, just like Michigan State had been on a 3-year bowl drought. But now all of a sudden you're talking about them as a contender for the Big Ten title. Looking to build on last year. Probably won't match last year's success, but they're in that conversation now as one of the better teams in the Big Ten, and this is arguably the toughest conference in college football. So, you know, that's that's big time company that they're being considered in, and they've got a lot that they can build off. But the comparison, um, if you're saying that this team, this Michigan State team, will have the exact same success as Indiana, I hate to tell you, I mean, I think you're very wrong. That's a massive stretch. What Indiana did last year is something that you rarely ever see. It's not a fluke. That Indiana team was good and it deserved the success that it had. That's just not something that you're going to see too often. So to say that Michigan State does it the year after Indiana has that kind of jump, and considering there's still a lot of questions Michigan State does need to answer. Um, I think that is a very big reach. You also have to consider, again, Indiana deserved the success it had, not taking anything away from that, but it had a much easier strength of schedule than Michigan State will have this year. You look at the schedule from last year for Indiana, and really, things it didn't really amp up until, ironically, the Michigan State game. And remember, everyone was saying that could be a trap game for Indiana coming to East Lansing. Michigan State had been coming off that loss to Michigan, one that they felt like had a few plays here or there gone differently, they would have won in the big house. Um, but then Indiana just absolutely embarrasses Michigan State. And from there, that's when the nation really, that's when they really caught everyone's attention was just how badly they beat up on Michigan State. And I think just about everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, this Indiana team is legit." You gotta remember though about that Michigan State game. Michigan State had a 10-0 lead early in that game, and they just completely handed the all control over to Indiana from there. So despite what the scoreboard said, uh, I know it sounds crazy, but had Michigan State done some things differently early on, and maybe even scored a field goal or another touchdown in that game after that 10 points and gone up either 13 or 17 nothing, I don't really see Indiana coming back from that and winning if Michigan State plays a relatively clean game the rest of the way. Instead, things went the complete opposite way. Michigan State never scored again. That a lot of that was on Michigan State. Kudos to Indiana for being able to capitalize, but the game could have gone different had Michigan State just held on and gotten a sizable lead by halftime. But that was one of those games you look at Michigan State's schedule last year, and uh, just it was very tough to gauge how close Michigan State was from taking that next step as a team to be taken seriously in the Big Ten and a team that's still a laughingstock. That game made them a laughingstock. Um, but uh, but yeah, Indiana's schedule was not very tough. It's very back ended. Got to Ohio State. Ohio State pretty much took care of them. Um, and then that Michigan game, Michigan could have won that game. Wasn't a great Michigan team, really peaked at the end, obviously beating Ohio State and Alabama in their bowl game. But that was a Michigan team that Indiana probably should have beaten. And I think, towards the end, Indiana was really just riding off its confidence. Um, there's something to be said about winning and sustaining that. You get better the more you win. I know you learn from your losses too, but confidence is a huge thing. And when you learn and um, and add to what you're doing right, that ultimately leads to a lot of success if you can do that. So that's what happened for Indiana. Get to that Notre Dame game. Um, that final score was a little deceiving in that playoff game. Uh, it was closer than it really was. I mean, Notre Dame had that game in control at halftime, and Indiana, I mean, credit to them, they had a big fourth quarter comeback attempt, but fell short ultimately. That game had been out of reach for them. It was a little too little, too late, but you know, ultimately that schedule compared to Michigan State's this year, I mean, not even comparable. Michigan State, even though it doesn't have Ohio State or Oregon, the two best teams in the Big Ten last year, it's still got Penn State, which I think will win the conference. Still got Michigan, which is going to be better this year, I believe. Uh, got Indiana, who's obviously, like I said, building on last year and expected to be back in the mix for the title. And you got to play them there. Got to play USC, which is supposed to be a lot better. Nebraska is supposed to be a lot better. I mean, like I said, it's not even comparable. So, I mean, throw UCLA in there too. I mean, they're kind of a wild card. They're kind of like Michigan State. It could go one way or the other. So it's you know, looking at the schedule for Michigan State, I mean, you don't win 10 games on the schedule, I think. I said 8 games, even that I feel is a stretch. I think a lot of people would say so. I think the consensus is that Michigan State will merely make a bowl game, win 6 games, but 10 wins, let alone 11 wins, and a trip to college football playoff, it just, no, don't see that happening from Michigan State. But you shouldn't be reaching that far, anyways. I mean, um, that's not the expectation for this team. The expectation is to make a bowl game. Really, though, for me, I think the bar should be raised a little higher than that. I think this team is more talented than that. But I think you a bowl game will be safe. You can't be too upset with how the season goes as long as you make a bowl game. And you should also be hoping to win it too, of course. But no, I don't think this is last year's Indiana team. Like I said, that was a very rare occurrence. And credit to Kurt Signetti for what he was able to do in year one. But that's not something that comes around a whole lot. So I don't see that in Michigan State's coming from Michigan State's 2025 season, but um, I guess it's fun to hope, isn't it? So if that's what's going to keep you excited, uh, for those of you who are aiming that high, go for it. I do think that this team will get off to a strong start. I would suggest, though, not everyone start saying that. If this team s- ends up starting maybe 4 or even 5-0, I wouldn't start reaching for that 11 win mark. Um, don't get too ahead of yourself. But it is fun to get into this talk and to talk hypotheticals because that's what the off season's all about. And pretty soon here, hypotheticals going to be out the window and we're going to be on the gridiron and we're going to see what this team is really made of. So Friday is when it all starts. Western Michigan coming to Spartan Stadium for the Friday Night Lights tradition. I'm sure a lot of you will be there. I hope you're excited. And we're talking to Jonathan Smith today. I'm talking to you very early morning, Monday. So I'll report back to you on what he has to say. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in as always. And you can read all of our content on Michigan State Spartans on SI, giving you tons of daily content, keeping you in the know on your beloved Spartans. We love doing it. Hope you love engaging, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you.